Welcome everybody to the Wednesday night service for Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living here in Grants Pass. And it is my pleasure tonight, I'm Reverend Nan Bankston, and it is my pleasure to introduce our special music tonight to open us up with, and it is Chip and Bucky Dennerlin. So Chip and Bucky, I'm going to leave it over to you now, hand it over, and we'll enjoy your music.
We chose a ballad, meditative, for tonight, and I know some will recognize it. I know Karen will.
I reach out my hand to you. You are part of me. I open my arms to you. You are part of me. We are one in spirit. We are one with all there is. I open my heart to you. You are part of me. I offer my good to you. You are part of me. I share my joy with you. You are part of me. We are one in spirit. We are one with all there is. I celebrate life with you. You are part of me. You are part of me. I believe in peace for you. You are part of me. We are one in spirit. We are one with all there is. I offer my prayer for you. You are part of me. You are part of me.
Well, that was just beautiful. Thank you so much, Chip and Bucky. That was just magnificent. And now I'd like to introduce our practitioner for tonight, Karen Jordan, who will provide a little invocation for us and a short silent meditation. Karen, unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yes, that was beautiful, Chip and Bucky. Thank you. For inspiration, I often read the small books that Ernest Holmes wrote. Creative Ideas is one of my favorites. I'm moved by the love we share, all of us, in our community, in our world. And I know that God is love, as we are all love. And I'd like to read this piece for you as you quietly contemplate the words. If you choose to open or close your eyes or take a soft focus, that would be fine. I believe that God is love. I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I meet. I believe that love is returned to me from every person I meet. I trust the guidance of love because I believe it is the power of good in the universe. I feel that love is flowing through me to heal every situation I meet, to help every person I contact. Love opens the way before me and makes it perfect, straight, and glad. Love contemplates the commonplace into that which is wonderful. It converts weakness into strength, fear into faith. Love is the all-conquering power of spirit. I walk in confidence with love. I feel around and through me. In that love, I am safe, secure, and cared for. This, thank you, God, that lives within each and every one of us. Thank you, God, and so it is. Please take a moment just to think about this, to feel about this, to contemplate it. And then we will return to Reverend Nan. And it is with great love and appreciation that we return to this moment in time and to this time in our evening. Thank you, Reverend Nan, for doing this with and as us in love.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Thank you, Karen. And here we are again on Wednesday evening. And I really want to thank Chip and Bucky for opening our service tonight with that wonderful piece of music. You are a part of me. You know, I sometimes think that that's the song that Spirit sings to each of us, even if we may not hear it all the time. And it's a super lead-in to my talk tonight, Radical Oneness. I'd like to explore oneness in greater detail tonight. You know, oneness starts first with ourselves, recognizing that we are a part of Spirit and fostering that connection. If we are not connected to the infinite, the one source of all creation, it's hard to really understand the connection and oneness we share with all life. So how do we become truly connected with Spirit? How do we achieve that deep inner knowing of the divine essence, the presence that exists within us? The first step is to reveal and release any false beliefs about what we have about where Spirit exists and how it works in our lives. You know, many of us were taught that Spirit, God, was out there somewhere on a faraway cloud, sitting on a throne with a long white beard. I know when I was a kid, the church that my parents attended had a wonderful minister's wife, and she would have us there for Sunday school every Sunday. And her Bible had pictures of God sitting on a throne, long, white, flowing beard. He almost looked like Santa, but he didn't have the red suit or the red cheeks. So I asked her one day, how do we get to see God? And she said she wasn't sure we could. Well, that prompted me to ask, how could anyone make that picture if they couldn't see God? I never did get a positive answer on that one. She danced around and kind of finally said, oh, that only special good people could see God. I spent a very long time trying to figure out if I was a special good person and would I ever get to see that God on the throne. And of course, we were taught that we had to go through Jesus when we prayed, who was obviously a special good person because he had an inside track with God. Although I really thought God was love, I wasn't ever sure if I was loved as much since I wasn't a special good person who could see God. And you know, unfortunately, those early religious experiences and those that we have along the way may only enforce the idea of separation from spirit. And as we move through life, we have the belief in that separation that gets stronger and we get to feel farther apart from spirit. Most often, even after we learn other ideas, we still have that hidden unconscious belief of separation until we become enlightened, or really enlightened. You know, I was really blessed as I traveled my spiritual path to find my first understanding of oneness through Native American spirituality. There was only one, and everything was sacred because it was all connected into and through that one. It finally began to make sense to me about how this worked. As I continued along, I came to religious science, and everything that I had learned from other sacred teachings and practices finally came together in this philosophy and faith. I began to experience the presence within me in a greater, deeper way. Now, I had been through the light and love stage of the 70s and the 80s with a lot of metaphysical teachings, and yet there was something that wasn't quite on track at that time. And it was the idea of spiritual bypass, or as some folks call it, spiritual drive-by. And that's the tendency to use spiritual ideas to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, or unfinished developmental tasks as we grow. There was a false edge to the idea that we could simply dismiss anything pleasant, unpleasant, or hurtful with a wave of the hand and claim everything happens for good, or we are 100% responsible for our experience. Well, that just didn't heal the pain, sadness, disappointment, hurt, or anger that many of us had. Instead, we were encouraged to slide over emotional pain, stuff it, and move on. Not much connection to oneness in that action, I can tell you. It was a handful of glitter sprinkled over a gaping wound in the emotions that never healed. The emotional pains, and just like salt, it burned more because often it added to the discomfort by increasing self-doubt and judgment that continued a lack of self-worth that also amplified the feeling of separation. As Dr. Holmes writes in Living the Science of Mind on page 252, in the science of mind, we do not say everything is all right when it is all wrong. Well, when I heard that, I found it to be incredibly refreshing. Yet, spiritual bypass continues today when emotional issues aren't revealed and healed through the understanding of being one with spirit and having that divine essence of perfection at the center of our being. And you know, that idea of being one with spirit may come in stages. It may not be some big lightning bolt in the sky that illuminates our world where we have this instant feeling of connection to spirit. It begins as we recognize that there is only one source, one creator. And that is a theme that runs through spiritual teachings all around the globe, both ancient and new. One of the genius elements of Dr. Holmes was his ability to take information from all sacred texts, synthesize it, and create the multitude of writings and books to assist in our introduction to and pursuit of our true connection to spirit and the presence of the divine within us. He found a golden thread through all sacred texts that held the concept of one source, our connection to and with that and each other. Yet, in our culture today, we see division, hate, and all forms of discrimination that seem to defy the concept that we are all connected, that we are all one. So what are we to do? Well, we know in our philosophy that spirit is transcendent and immanent. Those are big words, but simply put, spirit is all around us and in us. We can never be bigger than it is, and we can't take it out of ourselves. And Dr. Holmes describes the embodiment of spirit, the spirit within us, in this way. Consider the spirit as a warm, pulsating, reciprocal thing. It presses against us. It flows through us. It is our intelligence. It is a great universal urge and surge. It's a warm, colorful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Know that there is something more than law, an intelligence to which we may come for inspiration, for guidance, for direction, a power responding to us, a presence pressing against us, an animation flowing through us, a light within us. So, where do we begin? We begin with ourselves. That's the very first place to start. We use daily practices to become aware of and deepen our connection to the presence, that light within us and all around us. You know, every time I take my little dog out in the backyard, I stand and marvel at the absolute diversity of nature. And you know, we were talking about hummingbirds and other birds and all the wonderful stuff that we have around here that we live with. Well, in my backyard, I have these things growing, and they continue to persist and exist through freezing cold and inclement weather. I have no less than 10 forms of moss living in various places in my yard. Now, each one is unique and beautiful in its own way. They live next to each other in some areas, coexisting without pushing or shoving each other out, no condemning or criticizing. They simply live as unique creations of spirit. When we connect to nature, there is a unique, expansive sense of unity in that moment. That is a mindfulness practice we can employ whenever we are outside for a few moments. Just observe all the creations of spirit and then affirm that we are one with all of that. As we begin to have greater awareness of the infinite around us, we can gradually shift our focus to within us. As we commune with that divine essence within through meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we strengthen our connection. We experience the love of spirit in our own life. As we experience more love and connection, it becomes so much easier to recognize and see the God in everything. It's truly a learned practice of being awake and aware to the divinity in everything and everyone. As we practice spiritual qualities of love, peace, power, beauty, and joy, and focus on being those qualities as we go through our day, we see those reflecting and shining back to us from everyone we meet. As we recognize the infinite ecosystems in our own bodies, the miraculous functions that we don't even think about, breathing, nails growing, skin healing if we scratch it, hair that just grows, well, not so much in my case, but that's okay. We recognize ecosystems in the macrocosm of the planet we live on. We begin a practice of gratitude for all the good that we see in our life every day, from the smallest to the largest. And we practice gratitude for the good we see in the world around us. Sometimes it seems more hidden than others among the current situations, and yet it exists. Through the pandemic and social issues that have been so prevalent in the past year, we saw individuals come together in love to support each other. We saw communities join hands to protect each other. You know, it's all a matter of what eyes through which we are viewing life. Are we seeing through the worldly conditional eyes of separation, or are we choosing to see life through our spiritual eyes and note the goodness and love that prevails in many ways every day? When we look through our spiritual eyes, we see we are all connected. We are a part of each other. We are a part of all creation, and we can choose to practice radical oneness. It starts first through deepening our connection to the infinite, and then choosing to see that divinity within all creation, treating everyone with respect and dignity. Everyone and all creation is the face of God. Think of that, the face of God. When we view life and see everyone as the face of God, we can remember that and see the truth of every being. You know, we are the ones who have been called for this time. It's not a mistake that we are living amongst these interesting and challenging times. We have the power of the divine within us to always choose love. We have the power to recognize that it's within us. And you know, love is the power of the universe from which and through which we are all created. When we are deeply connected, practicing radical oneness, we allow that love to flow through us and out into a world, creating a world that works for all, which happens to be part of our global vision in Centers for Spiritual Living. So this week, I invite you to try this simple exercise. As you pass anyone, wherever you may be, the grocery store, wherever, just say to yourself as you see them, "You are a part of me." And just observe the shift within you as you allow that infinite love that is your birthright to flow through you and from you throughout the day. Let's just try it right now. You know, we're not in the same room, but you can look at everyone on your screen and say, "You are a part of me." Let's just do that. Look at everyone on your screen and say, "You are a part of me." Feels good, doesn't it? So take that through the week with you. You are a part of me. And so it is. And so now, I'd just like us to offer a prayer, as is our custom. So knowing that that there is only one, and we are part of all that is, that we are connected through all time and space, infinitely, that each one of us plays a part as an integral part of that connectivity to promote love, to promote peace, to promote happiness and harmony in our world. We have the ability as individuals and collectively to shine a light that is brighter than any darkness in this world today. And so I speak this word right now, knowing that each of us has that capacity. And I bless each person here and those beyond the sound of my voice who will hear this, who know this, and will shine that light and know that we are all connected, and who will practice the idea that we are a part of each other and all creation. And so I speak a special prayer for those who may not know that just yet, because we hold a light high for them to become aware and awake, just as we have, knowing that all things are possible in spirit. Oh, and I just give thanks. I just give thanks, great, 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 good thanks, as my heart overflows, knowing that as we are all connected, we are a part of each other, and we are a part of all creation. And so knowing that this is so, I release this word, my word, into the law that always says, yes, my beloveds, yes. And so it is. And now, And now it's time for our offertory. So I just invite you to take your gift in your hand, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for everyone who has so supported our center through this time. And I'm going to put on the screen here our offertory blessing for today. I celebrate my oneness with my gift of love. You can join me again. I celebrate my oneness with my gift of love. And so we bless those gifts and we send them forth. And now, as they come in, overflowing, overflowing, I just bless these gifts. I send them forth to heal and prosper. I know that they do good work in our center. They do good work in our community. And they heal and prosper all creation. And so it is. And now it's time for our lighting the flames of faith. And so, Miss Karen, if you would be so kind as to light our candle. And the candle is lit as we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. This candle is lit for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. This candle is lit for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. This candle is lit for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. This candle is lit for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. This candle is lit for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. This candle is lit for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. This candle is lit for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. This candle is lit for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. This candle is lit for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And this candle is lit for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them at this center and for all religions on name in this ceremony. And so it is. And so, my friends, that is our evening service. And I just invite you to unmute. And we're going to do our little special thing here where we just share our goodness and our oneness with all creation. So just allowing your heart to overflow with love and unity. Allow it to settle into your hands and let them flow, filled. And as they're filled and they're overflowing, we just rub them together and we go 1, 2, 3, and whoosh. Well, my goodness, we send that love and unity out into our homes, our neighborhoods, around our communities, out across our country, around the globe, and out into the cosmos and beyond the beyond, forever and ever. So it is.